Attracting media to your event, whether you're a health IT company, whether you're a provider organization that's opening maybe a new facility, or whether you're an association putting on your annual conference, having media at your event can be very valuable. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a member of the media. But the question is, how do you make your event enticing so that media will want to send somebody? Well, I'm about to sit down today with someone who has some very interesting tips and tricks. Hello and welcome to Swaay.Health, where we bring you the latest insights and interesting stories from the brightest minds in healthcare marketing. I'm Colin Hung, and joining me on the program today is Beth Cooper from KNB Communications. She recently wrote this amazing article that had a lot of tips of how to attract media to your event. Let's get to it. Beth, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is going to be very exciting. I always love speaking with you. I mean, we could probably go on for like 3 hours talking about all things marketing.
Yes.
You're
And
so
same here.
knowledgeable. You're so knowledgeable, Beth. And the reason why I'm excited to have you on the program today is because you penned a fantastic article that caught my eye. It was called The Top 10 Tips to Throwing an Event Healthcare Media Will Actively Want to Attend. And for those who are listening and watching this, by the way, I really encourage you to go read that article. It's on the KNB Communications blog, and I'll put out a link in the description of this video for you as well. So, excellent article, Beth.
Thank you very much.
Now, I have to ask you, was the article targeted at like people like associations who are putting on big events, or like people who are putting on a user conference, or what other kinds of meetings was this sort of targeted to?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It can be for large conferences, it can be for user conferences. Uh, but what I really had in mind is just being very media specific. We have a lot of clients who want media to attend a briefing or a walkthrough of their new facility. So, anytime that you would like media to cover something that you're doing, I think it's very important to make sure that you're providing some value to them and you're not just trying to get value for yourself.
Ah, so I didn't even think of that, Beth. Like that's a great point. You're talking about like a media briefing. So like maybe when they're doing an announcement or some new giant partnership or even signing something, it's that kind of event that you were penning the article about.
Yes.
Interesting. I don't get invited to a lot of those. So Beth, tell me, of the 10 tips in your article, which are the two that you think are the most effective at getting press to this type of event?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I think all media is driven by wanting something that's brand new, something very innovative. So I think first you have to have actual news. There has to be a story there. And that's number one. Number two, I would say make the event interesting. So even if your story isn't super bold and brand new, if the event is at a really cool venue or you have a really cool experiential options there, or if they know other people that they really admire are going to be there, anything you can do to make the event itself very interesting, I think would also be a good draw.
Like a really good point. Never thought about the venue. I always imagine, these types of events just happening in a hotel room, conference room. But I guess especially in some of these larger cities, you can get pretty creative. You can do things like an
Mhm.
arena or like a former steelworks factory, things like that. Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Well, yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, you could do an event in like a cool Brooklyn warehouse, but I mean, we actually do have clients like one of the press briefings we did was like in Sony Square, and that's a pretty cool venue. So, we had it there. And one of our clients is actually a life sciences real estate developer. And so they have giant campuses that actually have really cool, features to them. So that's something in itself, which, those campuses tend to be sort of locked down, so if you can offer somebody access to that, it's just an interesting place to go see.
Exclusive access is always a nice thing, a nice perk to have. What other tips, Beth, really of the 10 do you think would be very effective for somebody putting on an event like this?
Yeah, so I think the more special you can make people feel, and the more valuable
Mm,
they would find the event. I think those are things that are really important. So, something that, and you're always constrained by budget, of course, but something I've seen very effective in the past, personalize the invites as much as you can. If you have a personal relationship with somebody, have that person reach out to them. You can send ahead a box of, an actual paper invitation to the event, believe it or not, some goodies that kind of align with your brand, with the some teasers for the event. The more you can make it feel like I would notice if you weren't there. I really want you specifically there. I think that's really important. You don't want people to just have like this mass invitation that just is like, yeah, anybody show up if you want to, we'll be there. Just make it really special, and if you have people that you have confirmed that are coming, they're coming, and it's okay with them to use their names, you can say, so and so is going to be there, and that's really helpful too, because it's always nice to know who's going in advance.
I really like that because you're touching on two things. One, being very targeted and purposeful is who you invite. And
Mm,
I think you said the word there, valuable. I mean, that to me says you're really doing a good job matching what the story is to what they normally cover, right? Because that's is what someone would find valuable in the press, is that it is a story that they do cover, they know about, and it is something that they regularly publish, versus a story where it's like, well, you've never written a pharmaceutical story before, then you're getting an invite to this thing.
right.
That wouldn't be as valuable for that media person. And then also you touched on the tip that I found the most interesting, which is providing and facilitating networking opportunities while
Yes.
as part of the event. Um, and so this has nothing to do with the announcement you're making or anything, or even the venue, but really giving an opportunity for the media that you invite to meet fellow media, first of all, but
Mhm.
also some of the luminaries perhaps that you've invited to be part of that event. So whether that's maybe your CEO or the head researcher, or somebody who's maybe a luminary in the industry, because press often don't get a chance to meet these people one on one in that context, because we're usually running around doing interviews at a big conference. So sometimes we don't get an opportunity to meet these folks in this kind of smaller venue.
Right. Yeah, if it's a very small event, I think that's easier to do. But I mean, you work for Swaay.Health, and you guys, I think, set the standard for making sure that everybody gets the chance to network at your events. And that's one of the things we absolutely love about going to your events.
Well, thank you for saying that, Beth. But so other than our event though, have you seen other examples from your travels or your clients where they've really done this facilitation of networking really well?
So I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, where it's about having people there who the press actually want to meet. And
Mm.
so if you have, your bench of subject matter experts, and you're very intentional about going around and introducing them to people and making sure that now this person has a point of contact, they have their contact information, they feel seen. Um, I think that's probably the best way of going about it. But I don't see it done very well very often. Particularly at the big events, it just feels like you're lost in a sea, and you never know if you're bothering somebody or if they'd like to come up to meet you. So it is an art, and not often executed very well, if I'm being honest.
No, and you're right. I mean, it is fun to see. I mean, I do have the privilege of attending a lot of conferences, and you can see the good, the bad, and those that are really trying, and a lot of people fall into that category of really trying. I've been part of events where I literally had a chaperone for the entire time I was there because they were paranoid that I was going to talk to somebody who was disgruntled, or like do an interview with a really unhappy customer at their user conference, right? Which never happens, because I don't think an unhappy customer is going to spend that much money just to come and complain. Like usually usually they're actually pretty positive on the company. So I've gotten that, there's sort of that side where they're like, there's no networking because it's very regimented, and I've got like scheduled interviews and that's it. I'm not allowed to go anywhere else. All the way through to what you're talking about, where it's just like I've got complete free reign to the point where like there's nothing. Like I'm just an
Right.
attendee. So I'm wandering around. I don't know anybody. But the ones that do it well do put in the effort to, maybe have a press cocktail hour where, the executives of the company are going to be there in the room, and we get a chance to meet them and chat with them. And or they do, bring in five of their own clients in a room with all the press and do the same thing. So those really result in a lot of really great earned media coverage when they're able to put out that kind of an effort. Which actually, Beth, leads me to my next question, which is, other than earned media placements, what are some of the benefits or outcomes that you would expect to measure the success of a media briefing or having media at your large event?
Yeah, so and that is a great question because it's difficult to tie it directly back to ROI, and that's the holy grail. Is what everybody wants to see. So of course, yeah, any earned media placements, you're going to be tracking those, and you'll be tracking them. Um, Not only how many there were, but which outlets they were, what's their potential reach for those. Um, PR firms like to calculate AVE. So if you were to buy advertising space in that publication, how much would that cost you? That's sort of a measure of value right there. But also, you can track things like web traffic. There'll probably be a spike in web traffic if you did a good job there. Definitely listen on social media for any mentions of your brand. If you had an event specific hashtag, track that. But honestly, where I think people fall short a lot of times is qualitative, because that's very valuable as well. And I know execs love their numbers, give them their numbers, but also if you have follow up emails, if you have pictures online that are presenting the event in a really positive light, all of these things, all these good sentiments, statements people are making, those are all helpful also. And I would definitely record those and put those in with any, you know, briefing after the event, because I think qualitative is super important also.
I like those because we're in a point now where marketers are under a lot of scrutiny in terms of the ROI that we're generating,
Right.
and so having these metrics, I think, are very important. And I like the ones you've put here, including the qualitative ones, because it isn't always about the reach and so forth. It is also about the relationship that you now have potentially with that member of the press, so that the next time you
Oh,
do an
for
event.
sure. Yeah, and a reputation too. You can give yourself a good reputation, like, oh, they put on good events. If you get an invite to that, I would go.
Yeah, and for me, that would be ice cream or cheesecake. If you serve either of those things, I'm back.
Good to know.
Um, Beth, was there a tip number 11 that didn't make the cut for your article?
There's like tips number 11 through 55. Um, there's a lot more stuff. I think those were all of the, those are all the basics. But there's really the biggest tip number 11, I would say, is just make sure that you execute really well. Make sure the event is staffed. Just be very thoughtful with everything. If it's cold weather, make sure there's a coat check. If there's Wi-Fi, make sure that it's very visible, everybody can log on really easily, because you want them to be able to post about your event while they're there. um, Chargers are good. Like, just make sure it's very well staffed. If there's an open bar, like, for God's sakes, make sure there's not a giant line there. Everything, just make everything very premium feeling. And really, that can just be done by being very thoughtful. So I think that's number one. Of course, if you have a really great swag bag, that will help also. But again, none of this can be done looking very cheap. If you don't have the budget, kind of sometimes it's better not to do it at all than to do it very poorly. Um, but yeah, no, there's a I think that's it. Anything that you can think of when you've been to an event and people say, "How was it?" What are the first things you say? It's like, the food was good, the music was good, the people were good, all that stuff. Just make sure that you're paying very close attention to it, because that's what's going to make someone's experience, you know, happy and fun. Of course, it's work. You have to do the work part of it. But if you're asking somebody to give up their time, you need to make it worth their while.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, when you say swag and the food, I mean, you don't have to go overboard, right? Like, we're not talking you have to be a five-star Michelin chef, right? A food, but just, not hot dogs and pizza, right? Like it's got to be, unless that's part of your brand, but
Right.
something a little bit more, substantial. And then the swag bag could also, it doesn't have to be very expensive items. Like I remember getting a swag bag, which I'm always surprised I get one, by the way, when I go to these events. But like it just had like a $10, Starbucks gift card in there that was branded by the company. Also a $10 Uber coupon, right? To presumably to help pay for the fact I had probably to take one when I got to get there. So just even small things like that is fine. Like it's not like you have to like give away like a sweatshirt and a a nice pen, or like, you don't have to go that far. It
Well,
can
we
be
are
just
easy to
something
please. That is that is
like,
bare
or
minimum.
either that or I'm clearly going to the wrong precipice.
Yeah, in fact, you bring up a good point. Something you could do in advance is give Uber codes to people so they don't have to pay for their way there. It makes it very
Mm.
easy for them to go there, and that's something you can do off your business Uber.
So Beth, you shared a lot of great information with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about KNB Communications?
Well, I personally, my handle is Chrissy Beth on all platforms, so you can connect with me personally that way. Or KNB Com is KNB Com on all platforms, so pretty easy.
Awesome. Well, Beth, thank you so much for taking the time today. Really appreciate your insights and can't wait to have you on again.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
I want to thank Beth for coming on camera with me and talking about her fantastic article about the 10 tips of throwing an event that healthcare media would actually want to attend. I definitely appreciated her tip on maybe choosing a unique venue, whether that's a warehouse or even your own facility, but giving some VIP access to areas that normally would be off limits. I think those are great ways, additional things that you can do to make your event more media friendly. And hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, please like and subscribe. Also, head on over to Swaay.Health, that's Sway with two A's, .health, where you'll find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode.